Everyone hates to simplify fractions, right? Well, what if I told you I could teach you some steps that if you practice each day in a couple of months, simplifying fractions is going to be really, really easy for you and something you'll do automatically. Okay, so the first two steps that we're going to be practicing in this video is the first one is you need to memorize prime numbers up to 100 through song. And the second one is practice factoring numbers down to their prime factors. Write this down if you need to. This is what you're going to be doing every single day. Prime numbers, knowing and memorizing prime numbers is a very important part of making that happen. So first thing you need to do is listen to prime number songs, some that are catchy, that stuck in your head. They might seem a little juvenile. The main thing is you want to make sure they stick in your head. And if you sing along with the songs, even better. That's going to help it get stuck in your head. And then you'll be able to remember all of these prime numbers. And we're really only looking to memorize between 0 and 100. So you can stop at 97. Okay, so here's where we're going to use prime numbers to help us with simplifying fractions, learning how to simplify fractions. In this video, we're not going to learn quite how to simplify the fraction yet. What we're going to do is work on mastering steps that will help us get to being able to simplify fractions. If you struggle with simplifying fractions and you thought you can just come in and learn it in one lesson, you're wrong. Most people hate simplifying fractions because the steps that they take to do it, they haven't mastered yet. If you practice these steps every single day, if you're going through and listening to songs that are going to help you remember these prime numbers, and I'll show you why they're important in a second. If you're doing all that, simplifying fractions is going to become second nature to you. You're going to do it without even thinking. So here is an example of the first step I want you to practice in order to master simplifying fractions eventually. So we're going to take a number like 30, and we're going to break it down into all prime factors. A factor is a number that you can multiply by to get the number. So what are two factors of 30 that we can multiply by to get 30? There's two that I can think of in my head, but let's look at some maybe that you've got. Let's try looking at 10 and 3. 10 and 3. So what that means is if we took 10 times by 3, we'd get 30. So that's what makes this a factor. 10 is a factor of 30, and so is 3. So we're breaking it down to prime factors. Now we want to look, is 10 prime? And until you memorize these prime numbers, keep a list of it stuck to your desk, okay? Is 10 a prime number? No, because it's not on here. So we still have more work to do with this. Let's look at the next number. Is 3 a prime factor, a prime number? Yep, it is. So I'm going to circle that because my goal is to get factors that all are prime. So because this isn't prime, that means there are two numbers that I can multiply by to get 10 besides 10 and 1. So what two numbers can I multiply besides 10 and 1 to get 10? Hope you said 5 and 2. And if you struggle with multiplication, you might want to work on that too, but I'll create a separate video on how you can use a calculator to come up with these factors, okay? So in the meantime, those that are good at multiplication or who have used a calculator will figure out 5 times 2 equals 10. So 5 is a factor of 10 and 2 is a factor of 10. So now let's look at it. Is this the smallest prime we can get? 5. Is it on here? Yes, it is a prime number. So let's circle that. And is 2 a prime number? Yep, it is. So we'll circle that. So basically what we have here is 5, 2, and 3. All of these are prime numbers, which means we can't break them down anymore into smaller factors. These are the smaller we can get. So what this means by factors is if you look at it and you take 5 times by 2, 5 times by 2 gives you 10, right? So after we've got 10, we multiply that by 3, we get 30. So that's what this means. All of these are factors of 30, meaning if you multiply all three of them together, your answer is going to be 30. Don't believe me? Check it on a calculator just so you can see. So what I want you to do each day is practice different factorings of numbers. Practice it till it's so easy you can just whip it out, okay? So let's try doing some right now. Let's try 15, 20, and let's go with a big number, 100, okay? So what I want you to do, go ahead, pause the video, take some time, and write down all the factors of these different numbers. What's the factors, prime factors of 15, the prime factors of 20, and the prime factors of 100, okay? And then come back and we'll do it together. All right, welcome back. So let's go ahead and let's start with 15. Okay, now again, use a calculator. If you look at a number, you can't tell exactly whether there's two numbers that can be multiplied together to get it. The two factors for 15 are 5 and 3. So let's look. Is 5 a prime factor? A prime number? It is. So I'm going to circle that because that's what I'm trying to get is all prime numbers. Then 3. Is 3 a prime number? It is. And again, these are factors because 5 times 3 equals 15. So that's the answer right here you should have gotten for 15 is 5 and 3. Okay, now let's do 20. Go ahead and erase this. 20. All right, let's give two different numbers that we can multiply by to get 20. There's so many different answers here. You might do 10 and 2. You might get 5 and 4. I'm personally going to go with 5 and 4, okay? So 5 and 4. Yours may look a little bit different. All that matters is that the circle numbers are the ones that are the same as the ones I got, okay? So first, let's look at 5. Is 5 prime? It is. So I'm going to circle that. Is 4 prime? No, it's not. That means there's two numbers that can be multiplied by to get it. So we'll go ahead and look at it. Now, what are two numbers I can multiply by to get 4? That's right, 2 and 2. Okay, so let's look. Is 2 a prime number? It is. So there, I have now broken it down into factors that are all prime. So regardless of whether you did 5 and 4 or 10 and 2, you'd still get the same answers. In fact, let's try that real fast. If we went with 20, multiplied that by 10 and 2, because 10 and 2 are equal 20. So 10 is not prime, but 2 is, so we'll circle that. Now, 5, what are two numbers we can multiply by to get 10? I just gave it away. 5 and 2. 5 and 2 are both prime numbers. So you see how we got that? 5, 2, and 2, and then 5, 2, and 2. So regardless of which method you take, you're always going to end with your prime factors, okay? All right, let's go with the last one, the big canoodle, 100. Okay, there are so many different ways you can multiply to get 100, so whichever one you choose up front does not matter. So let's start out with, I'm going to go with 25 and 4. Okay, so if I've got 25, is 25 a prime number? Nope, it's not. We look over here, it's not. So I know that there's more work to be done with that. And now is 4 a prime number? Nope, it's not. So there's more work that can be done with that. So let's go ahead and we will break these down more. What two numbers can I multiply by to get 25? Again, if you don't know, off the top of your head, use a calculator, practice your multiplication tables, and you should get 5 and 5. And then what are two numbers you can multiply by to get 4? 2 and 2, because 2 times 2 is 4, and 5 times 5 is 25. So is 5 a prime number? It is. So we'll circle these two 5s. And is 2 a prime number? It is. In fact, 2 is the only even number that's prime. All right, so that's what you should have, regardless of which two numbers you started up with to multiply to get 100, whether you did 10 and 2, whether you did 50 and 2, doesn't matter. You will have gotten at least 2 2s and 2 5s. And again, if you multiply all 4 of these numbers together, you're going to get 100. Don't believe me? You should take a calculator and try it. So practice this, and once you practice these, go on to the next video, and that will show you how we can use this to simplify fractions very easily.